President Trump speaking out today from the G7 conference in Canada as the ongoing conflict between Israel and Iran continues to escalate, suggesting he's heard from intermediaries that Iran wants to talk.
They'd like to talk, but they should have done that before. I had 60 days and they had 60 days, and on the 61st day I said, we don't have a deal. They have to make a deal, and it's painful for both parties, but I'd say Iran is not winning this war. And they should talk, and they should talk immediately before it's too late.
His comments come as the latest wave of Iranian missile attacks hit Israel Monday, killing at least 8 people. Now, in a new warning coming on the 4th day of the conflict, Israel has cautioned residents of Tehran's 3rd district to evacuate before additional strikes hit the capital of Iran. Joining me now is the Hill's White House columnist Niall Stanage. Niall, the escalation between the two countries shows no end in sight. Israel has claimed to have reached air superiority over Tehran. How significant of a blow is this to Iran's military, and what impact does this have on their ability to launch surface-to-air missiles?
It is a major military advantage for Israel, assuming it is true, of course. The Israelis are saying that they can operate with relative impunity now over the skies of Tehran. That's obviously a massive advantage in any military conflict. If you can fly over your opposite number's capital city and not be in fear of your jets being shot down, that is a big advantage. On the relation to surface and air missiles, there's some suggestion of some batteries of surface-to-air missiles leaving Tehran, presumably to try to cover up those ammunitions elsewhere, but a big advantage for the Israelis, yes.
Reports over the weekend say President Trump vetoed an Israeli plan to assassinate Iran's supreme leader. And just yesterday in a Truth Social post, Trump pushed for Iran and Israel to make a deal, wrapping up his post with "Make the Middle East Great Again." How much support has Israel received from the U.S., and is Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu even interested in discussions with Iran?
To take the second part first, I'm highly skeptical that Benjamin Netanyahu is particularly interested in those talks. In fact, there's some belief in many quarters that the reason for the timing of this assault on Iran was because Netanyahu was concerned about the US and Iran coming to a deal. So I think that is the major point in that regard. In terms of American support, I think that President Trump has become more emphatic, generally speaking, in supporting Israel. Right at the start, we saw Secretary of State Marco Rubio say that Israel had taken unilateral action, seeming to keep a bit of distance between Israel and the United States. That distance has narrowed significantly in the days since then.
Niall, if Israel carried out its plan to assassinate Iran's supreme leader, would that have all but guaranteed the U.S. would be forced into this conflict?
Not necessarily, but it would have been a massive escalation, obviously, and Iran would feel obligated to respond even more vigorously. It would have clearly caused a regional, well, an even bigger regional crisis had that happened. But there is, I think, skepticism in both parties about the US being drawn directly into a war, and so I'm not sure it would have changed that particular element of the picture that much.
President Trump has been forced to thread this fine needle during this. While vowing support for Israel, he's on the receiving end of criticism from America First Republicans, including Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who posted on X, "Anyone slobbering for the U.S. to become fully involved in the Israel-Iran war is not America First MAGA." How does he navigate this inside the Republican Party, or does he not seem to care what his most loyal supporters think?
I think he does care what his most loyal supporters think. It's a really fascinating issue because in the MAGA wing of the conservative movement, there is a lot more skepticism about international interventionism generally. In the old-style traditional Republican Party, there's a lot more support for that, a more hawkish view on foreign conflicts. President Trump, so far as we can tell, instinctually sympathizes with, obviously, the MAGA side, the more isolationist side, and I think that will be one of the more interesting currents that he has to navigate if this crisis continues.
Do we have an idea at this point of the impact that Israel's offensive has made on Iran's nuclear facilities?
We have conflicting reports, Judy, because what we have is on one hand a senior person in the International Atomic Energy Body, saying that since Friday there has been no further damage to Iran's nuclear facilities. That contrasts with a view put forth by the Israeli military, which says that in one of these enrichment facilities there was damage done to the underground part of that facility. So basically, we don't have, we can't tell one version of events from the other from this distance. There are conflicting reports.
Are there fears that this conflict could spread across the region? Iran has claimed that Pakistan will use a nuclear weapon on Israel if one is used on Iran. Is there merit to that claim?
There's merit to the rationale, I think, that underpins it. I mean, we do have here a situation where Israel has attacked another sovereign country that had not attacked it. The parallel with Pakistan is obviously two nations, Pakistan and India, that have had a long-running dispute that is at least in part rooted in religion. So I get the rationale of the argument that Iran is making. I do not necessarily think that that means that Pakistan immediately starts bombing India.
Niall Stanage, thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you.